Hello and welcome to Toastmasters in the Community. I'm your host, Fran Okeson. With me today is my Division F Director, Amelia Royland, and I will let her talk in a few minutes. I just want to make a couple of announcements for our guests. We were not able to film this show on December 3rd because of a sewage problem in the building, so the first show this morning will be our Christmas show. People planned for it, so we went ahead with it. Also, I'd like to give you an update on what's coming. On first Saturday in February, we're going to be honoring the Boy Scouts of America. And our district director, Paula Market, will come. She is a Boy Scout Merit Badge counselor, as I was when my son Peter was a Scout. And on March 4th, we're honoring Gregory Perillo, who's been on the show about 4 times. He's my neighbor in Tottenville, and it's going to be his 90th birthday party. Very, very nice. I'm looking for people to, if you know Greg, or if you've bought one of his paintings, plates, figurines, if you send me an email, my email address is at the end of the show when they roll the credits, frantotten@verizon.net. I'm going to prepare a booklet of congratulatory emails for Greg. My goal is to have 90 emails at least come to me so I can give them to Greg on the show in March. So this is just a few things that we know are coming up. We have a very interesting show today. And Amelia, this is your second time being here.
Yes,
Always look at the camera,
yes,
okay?
It is.
How'd you like being on your first show a month or so ago?
I really loved it, and that's why I'm back today. Very happy to be here.
And your husband will be sitting up front with me on the second show,
Yes,
so
he
that's
will.
good. I try to make I don't want to see spouses fight over, you got up there and I didn't, so very nice.
Okay,
All right, and we'll hear
thank
from you later with your your Hanukkah memory.
Thank you.
Okay, or whatever. Actually, you confused me. I wasn't too
It's
sure.
okay.
That's all right.
We'll resolve it.
I'm sure we will. All right, so moving right along, I usually give the first speech to set the stage. I'm working from 2 manuals. One is the updated show because there were some corrections, and the other one I'll leave here just to remind me. My title is, and I'm doing an humorously speaking, warm up your audience, so I hope you're all warm because it's snowing like crazy outside right now. But my title is Daddy's Little Girl, All Grown Up, and I'll be talking about my daughter, Nancy. 3 days after graduating from St. John Viller Academy on Staten Island, Nancy was picked up by the United States Navy and taken to boot camp, and she spent the next 4 years as a corpsman in the United States Navy. Most of her time was down in Puerto Rico. When she was due to get out, it was in the spring, and my husband came up with this wacky idea. Now, sometimes my husband's ideas are mirrored in my son's ideas, and I can see my husband saying these things. But my husband said, you know what we ought to do, Fran? When I came home from World War II, my mom kept my Christmas tree up for me. Why don't we do that for Nancy and we'll surprise her? Now, we had a very nice, large tree in the corner of the dining room. And I said, you want to leave it up until April? I believe it was April when she got out. He said, well, why don't we do that? Well, I figured, hey, it's half his house. If he wants to leave the Christmas tree up, that's fine with me. So Nancy walked. I think she thought we were crazy. So if they'll show the picture of Nancy's Christmas tree, or Nancy first if you can get it, Peter, I would appreciate that. Whichever order you do. This is my daughter's official Navy picture. She's been out for many, many years. She's now a grandmother. There's the Christmas tree. It filled that entire corner in December. But at least there were still some needles on it when Nancy came home.
Wow.
But the gifts are still under the tree, and we were very glad to be able to disassemble it. Now, where is Nancy's picture? So you can see my daughter in her full uniform, and, well, I'm sure it will come. There's Nancy.
Oh, beautiful.
So I was very, very proud of her going into the service. My father was a merchant seaman in World War II. My husband was in the Army, and Nancy was in the Navy. So I guess if we had a few more children at that time who were old enough, we would have had a Marine in the bunch, I guess. So anyway, sometimes you do something as a parent that maybe your neighbors would think you're a little off, but you know, sentiment is a thing that's so important. And my husband remembered his mother. My husband adored his mother. And in fact, we went down by train to see his mother when she was dying at a nursing home in Florida. And Nancy was, it was a miraculous train ride. You know why? She was in Pampers when we left New York. No, yes, she was in diapers. That's what it was.
Wow.
And the hospital sent her home in Pampers, but I said, no, we're going on a train, 24 hours on a train. So I bought some new package of diapers, but on the train ride, down there. By the time I got down there, she was toilet trained. And so, but I had great dusters.
Oh.
There's nothing better to dust your home than diapers. Pampers just don't do it. So out of necessity, a lot of things are discovered. So that's my Christmas story about my daughter Nancy. That was a fun thing, and I hope she still has fond memories of her Christmas tree. And that's my story about Daddy's little girl, all grown up. I'm sure you have children?
Yes, I do.
Because we don't know each other that much. You're
Yes, I have
you're
two.
You're my boss over in the New Jersey part of the district.
Yes.
And are they grown?
Yes, they are. My daughter is married. I have a granddaughter, and I have a son who's getting married next year.
Good for him. And I have a
Yeah.
great-grandson. He's going to
Oh,
be 5 years
wow.
old soon. All right, let's move on then with our next speakers. And
Yeah.
I see Lucy. Lucy, I want to thank you very much for bringing your parole lights. I think that's what you call them. I hope they can be seen on the tape. If I put it up, you're going to lose it. But I thought maybe if they allow, maybe the lights in the studio could just dim for a minute so we could see the lights and the stars. Lucy is so creative. If Kenny's there, maybe he could do it sometime during this show. But Lucy Kahn. Lucy just got trained as Sergeant at Arms of our club, so she's very busy in the kitchen part and everything else. So Lucy is doing speech number 7, Research Your Topic. And it's 5 minutes, and Joan Murzio, our other timer, is her evaluator. And the title is Preparing for a Philippine Christmas. Let's all welcome Lucy Kahn.
Good morning. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and viewing audience. Christmas in the Philippines started before December. It was the best holiday of my life. Why? Because it was a very long holiday. I remember when I was 5 years old and I got 2 walking dolls and beautiful gifts because it happens that my birthday is 12 days before Christmas, so I got 2 gifts. I love the Christmas decoration all over the stores, and I also help my friends make the parole, which is the star that is on the desk there. It's like a star. It's made of bamboo, and then you decorate them, and you have them all over the stores and all over the houses in the Philippines. We also make other Christmas. We sing carols and Christmas carols to all our friends' houses. And we also have many other family traditions. The most important family tradition is to go to attend a midnight mass on Christmas Eve. And the reason is that after the Christmas mass, we go out and celebrate the Noche Buena, which is a night-based celebration where everybody go and eat all the Philippine food like lechon. The lechon is like roast pig. Then we have all the other stuff that the Philippines have. We got pancit, noodles, and we have the egg rolls. We call it lumpia, and everybody loves it. And we have also the other sweets from the Philippines, and it's really nice to have them. The rice cakes, and we call it putumaya, all of this other stuff that the Philippine people make them during Christmas. Christmas morning was gift giving, and we go all over the place and we give gifts to our friends and relatives. And then in the afternoon, we go and watch the movies. So it was really nice and easy on Christmas Day. The only thing that we have is that we are very stuffed with all the foods because we still have to go from one house to another house and eat all the food that they give us. Celebrating Christmas was very exciting and also very tiring. Whenever I think about Christmas in the Philippines, I always think of our family togetherness. Usually, the Philippine Christmas has all the tradition from Spain, China, Japan, and America. That's why we have a very long holiday days that we start decorating Christmas tree sometimes in October and November, and then we start decorating the stores in September, and then right all the way to January 6th, We end Christmas tradition in January 6th. The next year, that is the Three Kings, when they celebrate the Three Kings. So if you want to research about the Philippine Christmas, you can go online or Google Christmas in the world, and you will see everything about the Philippine Christmas. And you will know that the Philippine Christmas takes a very long tradition from all over the world. So we are very happy, and I'm very happy that I belong to the Philippine Christmas tradition. I like Philippine Christmas because it helps me celebrate the whole Christmas tradition all over the world. So I hope that we can celebrate again, and that the usual Christmas tradition in the Philippines can be seen around the world. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lucy. Very nice. We were trying to hold up the parole lights, the parole stars for you, but I don't think they picked them up. Very intricate. Very pretty.
Yeah.
All right. Oh, look who's next. All right. My next speaker is Amelia Vorland, who is the Division F Director. And this is your second trip to Staten Island. You're doing the first speech in the Entertaining Speaker Advanced Manual. It's called the Entertaining Speech. Ken Raftery he's the Singer's Toastmaster, will be on our next meeting show. But Ken is your evaluator. And I like your title, The Bargain New Year's Day Tree. Let's all welcome Amelia Vorland.
Thank you. Evergreen is a beautiful tree. The name tells us all about it. It's always green. But is it? Where I come from, Ukraine, we did not celebrate Hanukkah or Christmas, but we did celebrate New Year's Eve. And we celebrated it with a tree, beautiful evergreen. About December 27th, I used to go with my mother and buy this beautiful tree. And on New Year's Eve, we would decorate it. We would put cotton balls for snow, tinsels for rain, and beautiful, colorful ornaments all over the tree. When the tree was dressed, we would put gifts under the tree. And then my mother would dress up as Grandpa Frost, which is similar to Santa. I would dress up as a snow princess. My mother would have a long red coat, and I would have a beautiful blue dress. It was always a beautiful, happy New Year. When we came here to America, we could not afford to buy a tree. But a miracle happened. We walked outside, and we saw a tree laying on a sidewalk on December 27th. We picked it up and took it home. Now we need ornaments. We need to dress it up. My mom and I went to the store, and lucky for us, all the ornaments were 50% off. How lucky. We dressed up the tree on December 31st, and it was again a beautiful and happy New Year. Years went by. I got married, and I had a family on my own. And now I understood why the tree was laying on the sidewalk on December 27th and why the ornaments went on sale. I still love the tree, so I decided to buy a white tree and make it a Hanukkah bush. I dressed it up with blue, beautiful ornaments and put a snow white and a blue dress behind it, put the presents under, and my kids were very happy about that. This tradition lasted a while, and then my sister started getting the same tradition and also getting white trees. And now my daughter, who is married and has a child, also has a white tree. We dress up the white tree the best that we can. We buy an ornament every year, blue one, silver one, white one. We even have blue stockings that have dreidels on them. Beautiful tree. Traditions. We have to keep the traditions for our families. We celebrate all the holidays now. Hanukkah and Christmas, New Year's, Old New Year's. The tree is still in my house until today, this beautiful white tree. I feel that It doesn't matter if it's an evergreen or ever white. But what I feel it's important is that life needs to be celebrated.
Thank you very much, Amelia. That was very, very
welcome.
sweet. Don't know where you found your blue stockings. Maybe
I did find
very,
them.
very nice.
I did
Traditions
find
are
them.
very important.
Traditions are important, yes.
Yes. This year we put up a little tree that Peter had up in the attic, and my cats came over and looked at it, blocking the window. And then I figured it was time to turn it off when I saw Annie licking the branches, and I figured, don't start eating that. You get plenty of food in the house.
No, you don't want to eat
but
that.
they were so curious about it.
Oh, that's cute.
All right.
Yeah.
Isaac is ready. So our next speaker is Isaac Govinovich, who is our associate or assistant, whatever you are, director. We'll allow you out of there once in a while. You're doing speech number 7, research your topic, and Paul Sharp is your evaluator. And I like your title, Isaac. It's called The Lights of Life. Let's all welcome Isaac Govinovich.
Madam Producer, I'm not assistant director, I'm a director. Viewing audience, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. Jewish holidays, most of them are connected to some historical events in the life of people. And Hanukkah is not an exception. What happened is, in 2nd century BC, during the time of Second Holy Temple, the Syrian and Greek regime decided to actually eliminate or annihilate Jewish religion, Jewish faith. They forbade to study Torah, to observe Shabbos, to observe any religious things that Jewish people hold dear. And it was so severe that it was punishable by death. Observance was punishable by death. A lot of Jews decided to go into Greek, decided to I'm sorry. A lot of Jews decided to adopt Greek culture. They were called Hellenists. They started to marry non-Jewish women. They stopped observing Jewish traditions, and that was actually dissolving the whole way of life. But what actually tipped the scale was when Greeks challenged Jews to sacrifice a pig in the temple. That was sacrilege. So, number of Jews decided to rebel, and actually they rebelled, and they were called themselves Maccabees. That was an interesting thing because Greek and Syrian, they had huge army, thousands of well-trained and well-armed soldiers. And this small band of people, just guerrilla war people, they were able to defeat them. And that was a miracle. That was the first miracle. When Maccabees came to Jerusalem, into the temple, they found it completely desecrated. There were idols there. It was dirty. It needed to be cleaned up and rededicated. And Hanukkah actually means rededication. Then they needed to lit a menorah, which was in a temple. But it was very important to find the right oil. It had to be purified and had to have a stamp of High Rabbi. They found one little jar, enough for 1 day. But the second miracle happened. One day worth of oil was burning for 8 days. And that's why we celebrate Hanukkah for 8 days. This is a little menorah, which I have in my household, and we actually use it if you well, it's a little far away from the camera, but there is this the candle here. So we put in candles and we lit it up, and we say a little prayer in honor of people who actually kept and preserved our way of life, our religion, our identity. There are a number of things that Hanukkah involves. Like one of them is food. Usually, Jewish holidays are happy holidays, except for Yom Kippur, when we cannot eat, drink, smoke, work. We eat a lot. Well, looking at me, you can say I eat a lot. And Hanukkah, actually, we eat a lot of fried food to actually honor the oil that kept Hanukkah lit for 8 days. Another thing in Hanukkah is a little dreidel. Now, the dreidel is kind of a game. Was invented to actually fool the Greek soldiers. Because like I said, observing or studying Torah, observing the traditions, were punishable by death. So when Greek soldiers were doing a raid and saw people getting together, they would just put away the Torah and they would start playing the dreidel. They would start spinning it and like they're gambling. There are letters on the dreidel, 4 letters for 4 sides, and each letter means something. It says Nes Gadon Haya Shem, which means a great miracle happened there. Means in Israel. In Israel, they sell different dreidels, which say Nesh Gadon Haya Po, which translates into miracle has happened here. It's kind of newer interpretation, and some traditionalists still say that miracle had happened there, meaning in the temple, not in the land of Israel. So the miracle still happened there in the temple. It's an interesting holiday, and it's a happy holiday. And in the middle of the holiday, I had a ring in the doorbell ring. I opened the door, and 2 Jewish men were standing there, and they asked me, "Are you Jewish?" I pointed out at my mezuzah, and I said, "Well, you can see it." They said, "Are you leading a menorah?" I said, "Yes, I am." "Is it electrical?" I said, "No, it's not." So they gave me a little brochure to learn how to do it and to thank me for actually leading the real menorah. Like I said, holidays are always happy, and it doesn't matter if it's a religious holiday or just a holiday to have a good time. Happy New Year, have a good time, and enjoy your holidays.
Thank you, Isaac. Amelia, I'll tell you something. Paul's wife, Sandy, was sitting up front with me during one of the Christmas programs, I guess, and she brought a dreidel, and she was trying to do it, and she couldn't do it. Finally, I said, "Let me try it." You know, it worked for me.
And you did it right away.
And not a drop of Jewish blood that I know of.
Yeah,
but,
but
sometimes you can balance it right, and sometimes
in the
you
wrist. It's just in the wrist.
Well, I don't. I can remember her being so frustrated there. Anyhow, and now we have Sue Brooks. Happy New Year, Sue. And Sue is doing speech number 7. What are these people doing?
Number 2.
What?
Number 2.
Number 2. Oh, you switched? I thought you. Oh, all right.
I switched it and I gave you the information.
That's in the original book, and I forgot to switch it over, making the new book.
Speech
Sorry.
number 2 organizes
It just
speech.
shows you that all Toastmasters are not perfect. Speech number 2 in the basic manual, right? Yeah, organize your speech.
Yes.
Okay, now we've got it. And your title stayed the same. It's called Happy Holidays. So let's just see what her happy holidays are. Let's all introduce Sue Brooks. Paul Paradise is your evaluator.
Happy holidays! I hope you all had a great time and I wish you all a happy new year. I know I enjoyed a happy holidays because I got to spend it with my family. I was so thrilled that when my son was going to come down to spend at least a week with us, and it just brightened my day. My husband and I eagerly awaited my son's arrival, and it's not so much the presents that you receive, but the fun times that you have with your family, and this past holiday was no exception. After the gifts were exchanged on Christmas morning, since our family's multicultural, we celebrate both Christmas and Hanukkah. We all have great stories. Christmas morning, we unwrapped our gifts and then settled down for breakfast, which was delicious French toast, prepared by my son and my husband. During the course of the meal, we started to exchange stories about the gifts. And believe me, the gifts are wonderful, but in my opinion, I think the stories are even better. First, my son tells us about the CDs he purchased for my husband. A complete volume set of all the Garth Brooks tunes. Garth Brooks is no relation. Of all these wonderful songs. And he told us about how he got the CD box. He went to go get it at a local store up near where he lives in New Hampshire, and he went online to have it delivered. They said, pick up in store only. Oh my goodness, the closest store is Nashua? My son lives up in the White Mountains, up in North Conway, and he had to go all the way down to Nashua. That's over a 2.5-hour drive. So he shared with us that he gathered his friend, another coworker, and they made the venture all the way down to Nashua to pick up the gift. His friend happens to be the kind of person that doesn't really like crowds, so he said, well, while we're there, we may as well go to Costco. Tom explained his friend likes to be in and out of Costco in 20 minutes. So we thought that was pretty funny. So my son went all the way down to Nashua, got the CDs with his friend, and went all the way back up to North Conway, New Hampshire. The next story involved Tom and Ken picking up a gift for me. Typically, when they get electronics, they like to go out to Best Buy in Eatontown, which is a few minutes from our house. Then, my husband said he typically gets sent all the way up to Homedale, which is about a 20-minute to 30-minute ride away. So he decided they were going to be smart this time. Instead of going down to Eatontown and being told to go all the way up to Homedale, they were just going to go straight to Homedale the first place. Guess what? They went up to Homedale, trying to pick out the keyboard, and they said, oh, we're sorry. You'll have to go pick it up in Eatontown. Oh, well, he said the traffic on the road that day was not so pleasant, but it made for a good story. The next story involved my son picking out this wonderful little sculptures made out of simple hardware. Wrenches, nails, other things you might find laying in the toolbox. But they are beautiful sculptures. I unwrapped my sculpture. It was a little dog. He says, yes, it's a dog made out of a wrench and nails. And then there was a story about that. And my husband had these little creatures holding up a garden elf, a garden gnome. It was a wonderful piece of sculpture. So with each unwrapping, there was another wonderful story to tell and a wonderful story to share about the gifts, how they were obtained and purchased. So although we're very grateful for the gifts we received, it's much more about the presence of those around you who you love and whose memories you cherish and whose times you cherish spending together. So for us, family is so important, and the gifts are happy and fun and pleasant, but it's so much more about the time that you spend with your family. Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you very much, Sue.
That was a beautiful speech.
Thank you. Always nice holiday stories, huh?
Yes, beautiful.
All right, and now we're ready to do our evaluations.
Okay.
If you can all be ready to come up when I call your name, please. Evaluating my speech was Alex Voiland. Gee, that name sounds familiar.
Yes.
Is he related to you?
I guess so.
All right. Okay, welcome, Alex. This is your second time on our show, too.
Yes, it is. Good morning, everybody.
Still morning.
Friend, what a beautiful, beautiful story about your family. And what I like about it is that the connection between the holidays and the family is great. Immediately, you introduce us to your husband, your son, and daughter Nancy. It's important that when you tell a story, you prepare a audience for what's coming, the story that's coming. And you gave us two stories. Obviously, evergreen, very connected to the holidays. And your tree hardly were green by April. And it's interesting that you had pictures to help the story. And you showed us the picture of, I assume that tree was in April, because in December it probably would look much better. But evergreen is always good. Now, your speech had two parts to it, so you told us two stories. Actually, they both funny. The second story was simply about the transition of a human nature, transition of from diapers to the toilet training. Excellent train ride, the same as excellent speech, and I like the train ride, speech, and everything else that's connected to the family. I wish you had at the end the speech, at the end of speech, a picture of Nancy in diapers. And that would really show us Nancy in diapers and Nancy in the military uniform that you showed us. So thank you very much for the introduction to your family. Thank you very much for letting us be here and give this evaluation.
Thank you very much, Alex. Oh, I'm going to live to regret that. Now to evaluate Lucy's speech, we have Joan Maurizio as her evaluator. Joan, we tried to hold up the Hanukkah, I mean, not the Hanukkah, I'm getting my holidays, the Philippine paroles stars. That's what we were trying to hold up here, but on faith, we'll hold one up.
They do look a little noticeable from the back, so you did a pretty good job.
Okay, good.
Anyway, host, co-host, people in the audience, people at home. Lucy always gives an excellent speech. We always learn something. If not, we'll always laugh a lot. This time we learned a lot. This is Research a Topic, and she did a very good job at it. They want to know how well did the speaker's topic apply to the audience, and they said most people love learning about world cultures and traditions. Was the topic well researched? And I said yes, and well experienced. How well did the speaker support her points with lifetime experiences? Was the support material appropriate for the point made? And I said she gave a bilingual listing of how they say it in the Philippines and how they say it Americanese. So we thank you for that. That was great. And they asks about the types of support material. She's actually does not have to have volumes of information in front of her because she speaks the language, she knows the language, she lives the life, so this is good. How clear was the speaker's purpose? Very clear. Was she well organized? Yes, she sure was. Did she take advantage of body language and vocal variety? And I said, well, you're limited on TV, but she did very nicely with both. What could she have done differently to improve the speech? And I said, bring food. But then I drew a little smiley face and I said, just joking. She has enough to carry in. She had a cup in each hand when she came in the studio, and she made me laugh. She's with signaling to get to the door and open it for her. So it's a good thing we were looking up. What did you like about the speech? It's very informative, very appetizing. I want to go home and eat lunch. And all the countries, Philippines, the Japanese, the Chinese, and American. Everyone's involved. I didn't know that it was that involved. So I think it's wonderful. We learn about this stuff, and I want to thank you very, very much for your wonderful speech, Lucy. You did a great job, as always.
Thank you very much, Joan. Lucy always surprises us, always makes us smile, makes us laugh.
Oh, that's
even when
Lucy.
she's not trying.
Okay, that's a good thing.
All right, and your evaluator's in a hurry to come
Yeah.
up. Hi, Ken, how are you?
Good, Fran.
All right. Is this your first time meeting Amelia, or were you here last time she visited?
Last time.
Oh, okay, good. All right. And let's hear your evaluation about her white tree. I have such a nice mental picture of that white and blue. Go ahead, Ken. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Fran, fellow Toastmasters and viewers. As I very much enjoyed Amelia's speech, the bargain Christmas tree. This was the entertaining speech, and it said what indicated to you that the audience was entertained. Well, certainly everyone was very attentive. There weren't many jokes in the speech, but of course, laughter isn't the only way of knowing people were entertained. And briefly talk about the organization. Well, you spoke about how you celebrated the holiday in your country, which was interesting. I guess a lot of us who've lived in America for so long just assume that everyone celebrates the holidays the same way. But it was interesting to hear about December 27th as being a date of celebration. And you spoke about how your tradition came to be. And I really enjoyed the part about finding the tree and essentially in the trash on December 27th. But of course, you didn't realize that. It was like a miracle at the holidays. That was interesting. And your vivid descriptions, I'm sure we all had the vision in our mind. I almost felt like I was watching a movie the way she was describing things. And the conclusion was very good. It summarized the importance of traditions, and the last words of her speech are about celebrating life. That was overall an excellent summary. and suggestions for improve the talk. I think a picture would have been good. Again, I had a mental picture of the white tree, but I would have liked to have seen one, kind of like how Fran showed us her tree in her speech. And what was your strongest asset in entertaining speaking? I think it was the tone was excellent. Like, imagine the same speech was done with a harsh tone, it would not have worked well. But you were gentle, calm, so it was just the perfect tone as far as talking about celebration, tradition. So that was what really made the speech overall very effective. And I hope to hear from you again soon.
Good. She'll be back in
you.
March. You'll hear from her
Thank
again.
you.
Thank you very much, Hen.
Thank you, Ken.
And now Paul Paradise is going to evaluate It says Paul Paradise. Oh, wait a minute. Did I miss somebody? No. Oh, I'm sorry, Paul. You're for Isaac. I'm sorry, Paul. Paul J. Sharp, DTM, PDG, DTM 6. Thank you, Paul. You sound so shocked. Don't you know I can make a
Fran,
mistake?
did you forget me already?
Well, I'm getting ready for next month when you'll be away on vacation, and I won't see you until March.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm not perfect, Paul. Don't you know
Yes,
that by
you
now?
are.
Don't you know?
Almost.
Yes, I am.
you are.
Oh, thank you, Paul. And now it's Paul Sharp's turn.
Thank you, Fran.
You're welcome.
Isaac gave a very interesting presentation about Hanukkah. His story was absolutely fantastic. It was actually a story from beginning to end. From the very beginning and the area with the temples being desecrated, to the oil, to the menorah, to the dreidel. The whole presentation was absolutely perfect. It was a story from beginning to end. Everything he explained, or everything he said, he explained in detail. I especially like the detail about the dreidel and the fact that outside of Israel, the miracle happened there, and in Israel, in some places, the miracle happened here. It was a very good explanation. In fact, I hate to say it, I didn't realize that there was the second story about dreidel in Israel myself. There was one thing that I really was looking for, not that I was looking for, I realized afterwards that it wasn't there, was when he showed the menorah. I would have liked to have seen or heard the story of how the candles are put on and how they're lit. They're put on from left to right, first day 1, second day 2, third day 3, but they're lit from right to left. The first one, or the last one put up, is lit first and then goes back. So on the 8th day, you're putting the candles on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, or 7, and then you're lighting from 8 down. That would have been interesting for some people that maybe didn't know about that story. That's about the only thing in his whole presentation that I think could have been added. And as I said in the beginning, and I'm going to say it at the end, the story was fantastic. It was from beginning to end. There was nothing left out. It went right through. And I think everybody, or especially those that weren't sure about all of the events leading up to or in the holiday of Hanukkah, was explained absolutely fantastic. And I hope to hear, or expect to, and will hear many more speeches from Isaac. This one was absolutely great.
Thank you, Paul. It never gave me a thought that he was Jewish. Or if I had put a Christian up there as the evaluator, they wouldn't have picked up on that. And it would have been a perfect speech and everything would have been fine. I just didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I think of people as people, not as what they are. But, see, a Christian would have gone up a beautiful speech, wonderful, wonderful, and Isaac would have gone home, oh, I'm great. Now he's going to go home and say, oh, I blew big time, the whole ending. I'll have to watch it Now we can have Paul Paradise.
Yeah,
I shouldn't have
yes.
put two Pauls back to back
Oh,
either.
okay,
This is Paul R. Paradise, who recently got his CC. What's
you.
your club? Because what's your club?
The Mile Square in Hoboken.
You're not. That's not in your division, is it?
No.
No,
Amelia? No.
no,
All right.
no.
Oh, then this is your first time meeting Paul Paradise.
yeah.
Very, very nice. All right, and you're evaluating Sue's speech about the happy holidays.
Yes.
Thank you, Paul. Welcome to
And
the show again.
Toastmasters. I thought Sue gave a wonderful talk on the holidays, happy holidays. And she started out basically talking about the holiday season, and then she centered on meeting her family, and then moved from there on to an exchange of presents, sitting down. And then she moved from there into talking about the stories about how they obtained those presents. And I thought that was a wonderful focus, because normally on Christmas time, you open up your presents, and then you never focus on what efforts people made to perhaps get those presents. You just figure maybe they went online to get them, or perhaps they went to Macy's and just purchased them. And so here was a chance to get the behind-the-scenes story. And so the first story was how, I think maybe it was her son or someone who got some CDs from Garth Brooks. And so I think they actually went online. They found out that, wow, they were centered in North Conway, and they said, we've got to go 2.5 hour trip to go to Nashua to buy these. But actually it was a round trip, 5 hours to get these CDs. And in fact, that's what they did. And then she moved from that. I think they were getting a keyboard, and I think their trip was they were going to have to start out in Eatontown and go to Holmesdale. And they said, wow, why should we do that? Let's just go straight to Holmesdale and get this keyboard. And so that's what they did. They went straight to Holmesdale, and then they found out, you know what, we've got to go back to Eatontown to get this. So that's what they did. They went to Holmesdale, and then when they got there, they started to go back to Eatontown. And of course, being the holiday season, the traffic was mucho heavy. I think the next one had to do with sculptures, which they were unwrapping. And as they were unwrapping them, they came to some other sculptures. And so they spent quite a bit of time doing some unwrapping. And so this was kind of like a very, very good behind-the-scenes type of story. And it brought the family together in a way that normally I hadn't thought about before. Again, so I thought this was a very charming type of story. And the only thought how Sue might have improved it, because she did have some time left on her speech, was she could have given us some more insight into her family, given us some more description so we got a better feel or what they looked like. But other than that, I thought it was a wonderful speech, and I look forward to her next speech. Madam Toastmaster, thank you.
Thank you. And now we're going.
Am I the first table topics?
What's that? Is he?
I think I'm the second.
No, he's not, Paul. The first one. So
Oh.
I'm putting somebody in that place, please, Paul. Vinny, you said that you would fill in if necessary. What? Well, I have Cecilio here. He's not here, so I would give his question to the young man. All right, well, let him wait till the end. If we have time at the end, then we'll ask Vinny to come up. All right, Paul.
I'm being drafted here.
What was your? Well, this is your question.
Okay, fine.
What was your? And let's keep the answers pretty brief.
Okay.
What was the most memorable Christmas gift you ever received from your parents? Paul Paradise.
Goodness. Okay, thank you. Well, as you know, or perhaps you don't know, I came from a very musical family, and I think the most memorable present I got was I got a trumpet when I was a teenager, and until recently I still had kept on to it. It was a Selmer K modified trumpet that I kept until recently, and I donated it. Channel 13 had one of these things where you donate your instrument to. So I went down to was it Sam Goody's? No, not Sam Goody's. I forget the name of the music store, and I donated it so that a child like in high school could use it. But that was a big surprise to get a trumpet when I was 15 or 16 years old. Thank you very much.
Paul, thank you very much. Now, Ken Raftery. Ken, I have a nice question for you. I hope you like it. Ken, do you have an all-time favorite Christmas movie that you watch every year? Ken Raftery.
That's a tough one. There are some famous Christmas movies, such as National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I've seen that many times. Of course, there's It's a Wonderful Life. I haven't watched that one in a while, but I do have it out from Netflix, which means I'm going to watch it within a week or so. But I actually want to share a photo. I was looking at some old albums. You probably won't be able to see it, but this was actually me when I was 3 years old on Christmas Day opening up a Cookie Monster. If you look closely, you probably can't see it, but well, I'm opening up a Cookie Monster puppet. And what's funny is actually, then I have one, I think I was 2 years old. And again, I wasn't prepared or else I would have had this copy, but that's me with a football helmet on. And I'm opening up an Ernie from Sesame Street. I must have been a big Sesame Street fan back then. But I have to say, the toys were of a good quality. I could still visualize that Ernie toy perfectly. Unlike later ones they made, it was all felt, like it'd mush it, but this was actually plastic. I looked it up on eBay, they're still available. And they're not even that expensive, like $20-something, but from the 1970s, they made better toys then than they do now. All right, thank you.
Always comes up with an answer. Kevin, are you available? Kevin?
Of course I am.
All right. Kevin, very quickly, because I see the clock is turning.
Oh, no, we have plenty of time. We got 10 minutes.
One of them says we're running out. The
No,
other
no,
one says we
trust
have
me.
plenty of time. My
We have
goodness.
plenty of time.
Ah,
We're trying
Kevin,
to extend the
as a
time.
child, Kevin, what was the one thing you always wanted for Christmas but never received? Kevin Thompson.
Fellow Toastmasters, guests, studio audience, and of course, Fran, I want to go on the record to say that it was not a Fran doll. I want to go on the record to say it was not a Fran doll. That was not the toy that I was expecting to receive. And I also want to go on the record of saying that I'm so excited about today's speeches because they are steeped deeply in tradition. And then, of course, the second thing is, Fran really has a daughter. We actually saw her picture, and that's something that we've never seen before. But the toy that I really wanted to get and never got was probably a robot-operated toy, because when we were kids, we never had robot-operated toys. I mean, now, you know, these remote-control toys are all over the place. You even have virtual reality toys. None of those things were available when I was a little boy, and I love playing with them now. So I use the opportunity to play with my grandkids and use their toys, and we can play again together. So the toy that I probably really wanted to have was a robot-operated toy that I couldn't have as a child, but I can live vicariously now through my grandchildren and play with their toys.
That's why you had grandchildren. Okay.
That explains it.
Thank you very much, Kevin. Irene Rosato, are you out of the control room? Irene is our graphics person. Oh, hi there. All right, Irene. This is an Irene Rosato question. How do you decide what Christmas gifts to give to the people in your life? Irene Rosato.
Well, usually is what I can afford. But in all actuality, I start thinking about Christmas gifts sometime around September, because I start looking to see what it is that's the specialty item that I get. The one special thing that I really do take for my children and my grandchildren is that particular Christmas card. I always spend time at Hallmark reading every single card to see what saying best fits my feelings at that time for them. That is where I really do dedicate a lot of my time. Christmas gifts, generally for the kids, now that they're a little bit older, they get money so that they can buy whatever it is that they want. My daughter, I always get her something that's good for her, a massage, a facial, something to make her life a little bit easier since she works so hard. And basically that's it, because I don't really have a large family. For my son, again, he likes football. I try and get him something for football. And basically that's about it. That's how I spend my time, trying to find that special item for my babies. Not that they're babies anymore, but that's what I do.
Thank you very much, Irene. See, I have a bad problem. I hide things around the house, and when the occasion comes, I can't find them, and I know there's someplace. In fact, the other night I was looking for something as a prop for the second meeting that we're having today, and I found what I bought for my son for last year's birthday.
Okay.
But since his birthday is in 2 weeks, guess what he's going to get that I forgot I bought a year ago?
Last year's
I hope
birthday.
he likes it this year.
I'm sure he
Anyway,
will.
okay, Alex. All right, this, I have to tell you, I don't know your background, and I realized after I had a nice thing about Christmas that I think he's Jewish. Can't go there. So then I didn't know what you were because you went out and got a Christmas tree, and I figured, well, maybe she's Christian and you're not. So I changed the question during the night. And Alex, how did you and Amelia celebrate December 25th last month with Christmas and Hanukkah falling on the same day?
Oh.
Alex Boylan. Came
Ask
to me
a
like
better
a
question.
Excellent question. I love this question.
Gotta be
December
careful.
25th is a beautiful day for our family because this is when my family celebrates my birthday. My birthday is on December 27, and we figured it out that it's the best way to get the family together since all we would normally have is Chinese food and go to the movies. We would normally get together. Now we get together as a family in Brooklyn. Usually we get together in the Turkish restaurant Sahara. Why? Because plenty of room and about 30-35 people can get together and you don't need to wait a long line to get the food, and the food is great. Pretty much every year we celebrate my birthday. I love it. It's one of those days where we're still together. The atmosphere of Christmas and Hanukkah, it's still there because all that's important is the family is together, whether it's because of my birthday or somebody else's birthday. Christmas is a good day for my family. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Alex. Now I will ask Vinnie DeSimone to please come up. Hi, Vinnie. Ken brought you to our Smedley's meeting the other night, and I invited you to come, or Ken did, and I said, oh, would you be willing to answer a question? You said, of course. So that's what you do when you're a college person. You know, you can conquer the world. So, Vinnie, I'm going to give you Cecilio's question. All right? I've known him for many. When I was District 46 governor, he was my Division B governor.
Oh.
So I know Cecilio for, what, 16 years or more. All right. Vinnie, and you only have 1 minute. Watch the clock, okay? All right. Did you enjoy the anticipation of Christmas or Christmas Day itself more? Vinnie DeSimone.
Thank you, Fran. Viewers. Well, to me it went very fast, and it seemed like I couldn't, I know I'm, a teenager, but it seemed like I almost couldn't sit down, even though I wasn't doing much but going to school. But I did enjoy the experience of working up the way to, to Christmas, but it was mostly about, what am I going to do for Christmas? And, I thought to be a little different. I wasn't going to buy gifts and we weren't going to exchange gifts. I thought, I'm going to take my family out on something that we haven't done in so long. I took them out on a limo to Manhattan to see, the Rockefeller Center and stuff like that. I thought that'd be a great idea. And my mother and father used to take all of us out on the limo when we were kids, so I thought I'd bring that back after 9 years, 8 years, however long it's been. Yes, it was costly, but it was for my family, and I enjoyed it. And I enjoyed going with my family because it was something that we used to do and something that we all enjoyed, and it seemed like everybody had a good time doing it. And we all enjoyed each other's companies. There wasn't seemed to be any kind of, there was no disagreements, no arguments. It was all just good family fun, and, the love of the family is what's good. And I appreciated that. Thank you very much. Thank you.
I'm glad Ken brought you to our meeting, and I hope you'll come back and see us again.
Thank you.
It's good to, at your age, to think of tradition. It's very, very important. Thank you.
Yes.
All right, folks, I have my list of 320 words. And Paul, as soon as your jacket goes on, I know you want one. Yeah, he only puts a jacket on to come up to the front. So can you get up fast, or should I ask somebody to beat you?
I'm there.
Point to just any word, just without looking. No, just put your hand on a word.
Okay.
Don't look. Okay, Paul. Okay, crazes.
Would you say crazy?
Crazy, not crazy. Crazes. Crazes.
Explain crazes.
Something that's you're too old, Paul. How about consulting? That's the word above it.
Oh, consulting is good.
Well, then please tell us what it means to you.
What it means
Paul
to me,
Sharp. Very quickly, so we can have
Madam
more
Table Topics Master,
Mistress.
right now, Mistress Table Topics,
know.
Consulting. Consulting means that when I have a problem or situation, I have to pick up the phone and make a phone call. Guess who I call? My consultant. I call Fran, so I can get the right answer. And you call me too. Yeah, you call me to tell me what I should do. Then I call you to find out what I'm supposed to do. And between us,
He's watching a judge show. Judge Judy's on now.
absolutely.
Now and I say, tell me when you're between judges.
When I'm between judges, about 9:30, 10 o'clock at night.
If that's a good time, I'm still up then.
I'll pick up the phone. But anyway, consulting is an important word because it helps the individual to get better, and it helps the individual to help somebody else get better. So for Fran consulting me and me consulting Fran, it works out fine.
Oh,
and as soon as she's ready, I'll be able to say thank you very much. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, Paul. Now you can go take your jacket off. All right, who's next? Who's next over there?
Less than a minute.
Less than a minute? Yeah. Oh, then it's time to just tell everybody that we're going to take a break, and then we'll come back and have our second meeting after the noon time. And Amelia, thank you for being up front here. I loved your
Thank
speech.
you
I
for
loved
having
Alex's
me.
speech. I loved everybody's speeches today. We had a good time.
Yes, we did.
Right? I hate
Yes,
to
we
think
did.
what's outside with all the snow that was pouring down when we came in.
We'll find out
But
soon.
folks, please watch our show. We're on channel 34 at 7 o'clock every Saturday, but we can see ourselves about 6-7 times during the month. And Paul is now telling me to stretch. So, not to stretch, just to shorten it. Thank you. Someone gave me this lighthouse, Christmas lighthouse, many, many years ago, and I love lighthouses and I love all the phone. Thanks. We're out. Thank you very much.
Excellent.
Are we complete? Is the camera really over? Oh no, it's not. Stay in the room. Stay.